Okay, this is lesson 4 in terms of manufacturing, and the question we're going to ask here is can UK government economic policy have a significant impact upon UK manufacturing? Right, George Osborne made a speech, I think it was in 2011, where he said things have got to be made in Britain, created in Britain and designed in Britain. Right, that was his mantra. Now, has he achieved that, and what policies has he put in place to achieve that? Well, the one thing they haven't really done is they haven't put forward a great big industrial policy. So, for instance, they could have a very large bank that just is there for the manufacturing sector, and they could provide large amounts of finance for that sector. That hasn't really happened. So, but they have introduced high manufacturing catapult centres. They spent £200 million on this, which are these centres which are all over the UK. Well, there's 7 of them, and they are highly innovative and produce ideas for the manufacturing sector. But in broad terms, what they've used is a free market approach. What does that mean? Basically, it means they just leave it up to the market system. Okay, if you're an economist, you're going to find this stuff pretty easy. But basically, you let the firms survive on their own. So what the government's job is just to create the right conditions. So it's a non-interventionist approach, even to the extent that they've been willing for other countries to come in and take over some of our big firms like BMW took over Mini and Tata took over JLR, etc. So there's been a lot of foreign direct investment into the UK with the idea that entrepreneurs know best. So we leave it to free market and then these firms will do well. But it is the government's job to create the right conditions for that market to take place. And I've just looked on the board behind me, and one of the big things I haven't spoken about actually is a flexible labour market. What does that mean? A flexible labour market is, for instance, a 0-hour contract. So firms can employ people on a 0-hour contract, which means they don't need to tell them how long they're going to employ them for. Now, this is really beneficial for a firm because they may only want to employ people for a short period of time because they may not be good enough for their job and they get rid of them quite quickly, so therefore it will reduce their costs. So that is one part of the flexible labour market, but it's also about building more houses so that workers can move from one part of the country to another part of the country, and it's also about having a highly educated workforce as well. So the UK is pretty good at this one. So that's the first one, the free market. Right, next one on here is corporation tax. Well, corporation tax has gone down from 28% to 20%. We've also got the manufacturing advisory service. I think they spend about 15 million quid on that, which is advises firms in the manufacturing sector. And they started to create some apprenticeships, which are really, really important for them, specifically for the manufacturing sector. Okay, so that will obviously improve the flexibility of the labour market as well. Low corporation tax all means that more firms have more money from their profits, so therefore they'll invest more money. Also, if we look at the broad areas, the UK, we have low interest rates, cheaper to borrow money. We have low exchange rates, so it's cheaper to export our goods. We're trying to get lower taxes. The whole idea is the government wants to spend less money, and if the government spends less money, therefore they need to take in less in tax, and therefore we can reduce taxes. In fact, George Osborne once again says we want the most competitive tax structure in the whole of Europe, which is why corporation tax is now 20%. The Institute of Directors have gone even further than this. Right, they advise the government and they say they want corporation tax to be 15% to create even more investment. They also want a more flexible labour market. They also want 0-hour contracts. They also want the government to print more money and to give more money to the banks. The banks will lend out more money. So there's lots of ways in which the government could go further than they're doing already. But it is all done under the free market approach. Okay? What that means is the government isn't telling businesses what to do. Okay, now a big thing in the UK is how can the UK government help industry is by having lower energy prices. But in fact, there is an argument that says, well, if we let energy prices go up, then actually firms will become more efficient in terms of their energy and ultimately they will save money. However, one of the big things right now is, should we do fracking, which is what they've done in America. America and Mexico, remember, according to the Boston Consulting Report, are the rising global stars. And one of the reasons why that is the case is because their energy costs have fallen between 25 and 35%. And finally, we have the free market, we have the conclusion. So basically the government's job is to create the right conditions. Now, two big things manufacturers are interested in: are we producing the right sort of workers for manufacturing, and have we got the right sort of infrastructure? So for instance, the high-speed railway too. And on from there is perhaps we should have an industrial policy. Perhaps we should have a policy where we have a manufacturing bank that just lends out to the manufacturing sector in the same way in the UK that we now have a green bank. Okay, so I would say, can UK government economic policy deficit? Yes, it can do. And probably one of the biggest reasons is because you've got a low exchange rate, slowly, but I'll put it down here actually, got a low exchange rate, slowly we will rebalance our economy towards exports, and a key part of that is the manufacturing sector. Thank you.